Okay, I'd like to call the November 16th meeting of the Indian Trail Planning Board to order. Matt, will you take attendance, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If we can start with Cynthia.
Cynthia Wiley, present.
Joe Lynch, present.
Meg Fielding, present.
Travis Day, present.
Tanya Walton, present.
Larry Dukes, present.
Thank you. I didn't have my microphone on earlier, so sorry about that.
Okay, the next order of business is the approval of the minutes of the October 19th meeting. Does anybody have any corrections, additions, deletions to those minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to have those minutes approved.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as stated.
Okay, all in favor of the approval of the minutes of the October 19th meeting, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. So our new business is ZN 2021-0162 or Road Rezoning. Matt, you're up.
We're going to have Mr. Nick present on this one. I'm here for any questions and for backup. Can you hear me now?
Nope.
No. I'll be helping Nick out tonight. He's going to be presenting. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There it is.
It must be something with switching that.
It was turned off there. Do we want that?
Gremlins are loose.
Do we want that feedback? Yeah, that's good. All right. Good evening, everyone. This is Orr Road Rezoning, located just south of the end of Orr Road. Let's begin. The request is to rezone approximately 4 acres. Currently, it's single-family, low-density residential, or SF1. The proposed zoning is light industrial. The applicant is Video Stop Distributing Incorporated. Here's an aerial of the property showing the surroundings. You have a single-family dwelling in the north property, single-family Bonanza Park to the south. Evoke I outlined in yellow dashed lines, and then the railroad right there along Orr Road. On the next slide, we have existing zoning. As you can see, the beige is SF1, that low-density residential. On either side, I put a little table down at the bottom corner. I'll start at the northeast, the small, skinny parcel. That's currently vacant, zoned single-family residential. To the southeast, have that light industrial parcel, about 7.47 acres. And then there's about 10 feet of shared property line with 5424 Bethel Lane. That's zoned SF1, about half an acre. Shares property line to the southwest with Evoke apartment project. And then to the northwest are 2 light industrial parcels, one with a single family dwelling and the other with a warehouse. The smaller 1 acre parcel has the warehouse on it currently. Future land use map is now being displayed. The pink circle is the sub-regional center overlay. That's for Sun Valley. It's a half mile from the intersection of Wesley Chapel Stouts and Old Monroe Road. Doesn't touch property, just wanted to show it on there. As you can see, it's mixed use for the future land use, the proposed zoning, light industrial. And keeping it short and sweet, in the summary, the staff is of the opinion that the request is consistent with the comp plan. The request promotes the goals of the comprehensive plan, specifically economic development goal number 1, as it provides an opportunity for industrial development, furthering the tax base for the town. And staff is also of the opinion that the request is a reasonable one. And with that, staff's presentation is concluded. Just wanted to make note, Mr. Azar, the applicant, is present tonight, and we did receive 1 public written comment. regarding the case.
Okay, Mr. Azar, would you like to make your presentation?
Good evening. I really have nothing to add. I do own all the pink areas that's shown on the plan. And that areas has been zoned lot industrial since the 80s. I'm planning on submitting to the town a proposal of lot industrial, small lot industrial subdivision. This portion of 4 acres does not allow me to use it any other way. I approached the town with, what would you recommend other than single family? And they gave me that option, and this is my best option. I have no other option except either leave it a lot in single family or go with what I already have. I'm circled all the way around with lot industrial. So I will be submitting, if it was zoned, complete subdivision plans, including those 4 acres with the 60, almost 17 acres behind it. So that is my plan. So I hope that would be, any questions I'll be glad to ask, answer.
So you did say you own all of
Yes.
the current,
Exactly, yes. I owned it since 1984.
and
So-
the other piece that is not included in the 4 acres,
That is not mine, no.
that's currently owned?
And that is not. So Mr. Azar owns this parcel and then these two to the north.
Okay.
The reason I did not zoning in the past, because I did not have an access point. And the access point is, Old Road is not a good option for me because it is railroad controlled. It is not wide enough to do lot industrial use. And the previous planning have discouraged me from going that route because it's not really conducive to lot industrial entrance. But I do have an agreement with Evoke before I sold them that 7.5 acres were my property. And that my agreement is to have access to that road. And that's the reason I sold it. Otherwise, I really don't want to sell it.
So where is
So-
Evoke?
Evoke is
The red, okay.
the brown stripes,
and then
it's outlined with the,
And that's behind Sun Valley
Right.
County.
Yes, exactly.
right.
So I used to own those 7.5 acres, and my plan is to actually have the road so I can have access to it. Otherwise, it would not benefit me to just sell it and do nothing.
Do you have any thoughts about what kind of industry you'd want to put in there?
The type of industry is basically, it's going to be whatever fits inside the town's chart under lot industrial use, which is warehousing, lot industrial use, basically nothing extraordinary, just exactly what's in the chart, that's what we're going to be using. Nothing, my plans, I have several people want to buy and build like warehousing for electricians need a place. I have some mechanics, they need a place to work on cars. They needed, I have some folks that, all kinds of lot industrial use, trades, they need a space. They don't have any space and it's too expensive other places. So hopefully if it's built correctly and done right, then they have access to it. I do own other places, and it's getting so competitive in the marketplace. So if you go, the Charlotte folks are moving this way. So
Mr. Azer, does light industrial include storage also?
I don't have a plan for that, but I believe it is. I'm not sure, you know.
I'm checking right now. Sorry.
That's my understanding.
I
Could
believe it
you-
is, yes.
I have a question. Tell me again, where would you propose the access coming from? It's not going to be our road. It would be from the,
Access is being provided through here. There's currently a 60-foot access along the northern side. Sorry, I'm so shaky. Yeah, there's currently a 60-foot wide access there, and it'll continue down
Can I show you?
into here.
Can I show you the plan that already have been submitted to the county?
yes, please, that'd be helpful. Yeah, yes, please.
This is the 4 acres right here. And this is, comes in from, this is the end of the property, right? This is the 4 acres. Goes in this.
Oh, he's not on it.
This is- It will be like, that's evolve also.
Right.
So let's look at another one. Maybe I just, this is the purchase plan. This is my portion, but not really the road itself. I believe the best one is this one. It's the first one.
So it's going around
It's
whatever.
going around exactly.
So it'll go
This is-
around the apartment complex?
Yes, around the edge of the, I own these lots too. Picket circle, so I'm going along these,
Okay.
the edge of all the properties out.
So he's the one that's 2 doors, 2 things from,
That
Wesley
would be
Chapel.
Wesley Chapel. So, this is what Evolve's already have been approved. They already have looked at it, and the county have approved it, to my knowledge.
Okay.
And I keep getting feedback, because my project is contingent on theirs. If they're approved, then I can go with mine. If they're not approved, I'm stuck. Because I don't have any other access.
Larry, do you have any other questions?
oh, I have questions, yeah, but.
Can I bring it to you?
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
So while he's doing that, I have a question. So Orr Road, I'm familiar with that since Wesley Chapel, I go up and down all the time. And at rush hour, Wesley Chapel is sometimes backed up all the way to 74. So what is the plans for, that's NCDOT, correct? That road?
Wesley Chapel South.
Okay, so what
It
are the
is.
plans for that intersection with enhanced building there? Right now, it's a yield, letting people come in or out, and a lot of traffic coming out of that. I'm assuming if this would be approved, that traffic would come out to that access point most likely,
Right,
right?
Evoque was approved, and they had traffic.
So I mean, I know that's NCDOT, but with something like this, would that be enough traffic on the survey that would say that they would put a light there or something, or enhance that entrance exit?
With Evoque, it wasn't, the red light wasn't required with Evoque. They were required to do left turn lanes and right turn lanes into the Evoque property. Now, if he was proposing something that was going to be a heavy use during our site plan review, they could NCDOT could impose road improvements for that to get approved. But yeah, he's going to be accessing what Evoque got approved.
This is basically yours here, and the property is right here. So this is, that's the main lane.
Chris, do you want to come up and take a look at the map?
Chris, we have a sheet for you.
Very back corner behind Cynthia, we got you a chair.
I was going to say, is there a spot for Chris?
What is this right here, Mr.
This is
Acer?
Bethel Lane. This is-
And this exists now?
Yes,
Yeah.
only this exists. I own the last unit of Bethel Lane also.
Okay.
Any question or anything?
I'm very familiar with the area. I got room here if you want to sit here. Thank you.
I got a question. Is sewer available? Will you have access to sewer? There is access to sewer. Go ahead.
Basically, the sewer is contingent. If a vote has been approved, then the county will approve mine. So I already submitted to the county my plans it's called sketch approval. But the sketch, I was going to submit to them the entire plan, but they said, no, it doesn't work that way. We got to take the sketch first, and then we go to the others. So my others are already ready. If they approve the sketch, then I can submit the whole plans. But the sewer plans, I already have them, so. So I paid the engineers to do it, it's done, we just need the county to approve them. And the city, the town yet too, so. Any other questions? Thank you.
No HOA. It's interesting.
Okay, prior to calling people for public comments, I just want to remind everybody that the Indian Trail Planning Board is a recommending body. We don't make a final decision. We'll recommend yea or nay to the town council, but it's the town council that makes the final decision. So if if you have continuing questions after tonight's meeting, you need to come to the town council meeting when the actual decision is made. Okay? So I have, it looks like a family affair here. I have Brian, Deb, and Vic Helms. Everybody will have 3 minutes.
I drew the short straw, so I get to go first.
I'm Deb Helms, and I married into the family. So I am here to speak with the knowledge that I have of the history of the family property, but more so based on my 20 years of experience and knowledge as a real estate licensee. There are multiple concerns about the potential rezoning of this property. Part of the concern is the existing easement that runs across the Helms family property to grant that property access to Orr Road. I understand that a property cannot be landlocked. However, with Mr. Azar's acquisition of other properties and the plans for the apartment complex, it appears as though there may be alternate ingress and egress available to his property. And a concern with rezoning this to industrial, first concern, what's that going to do to the property tax value of the residential property that the Helms family owns and has for many years? And also, what is that going to do to the value of that property if, there are multiple other residential properties that are scattered around that? What is that going to do to the value of those properties depending on the development that's being placed around it? There's already concern with the apartments that are going in there, but that is a residential unit. But when you start doing all of these different mixtures of property types, it could affect the taxes and the value of that property. And that could also, that's not the word I'm looking for. It could put an issue with future development of that as residential property. The 2 children you see sitting here, they will eventually be acquiring that property one day, and they may want to build a home there. And, with not seeing the entire plans as laid out, only seeing the limited maps that are available online and what's currently here, not knowing the entire plan, I would ask that, the owners of the parcels that are around that are taken into consideration and being given the opportunity to look at the detailed plans, as well as the consideration that if there are other ingress and egress options for this property, that there could be a potential for pending litigation in the future to get rid of it, because it was family that split a larger parcel into smaller parcels, and it was granted to, the different siblings. The sibling that sold off the adjoining property, this particular piece, when the property was given to her by her father, he allowed her a 60-foot easement. Your typical easement is 20 feet. This is a 60-foot easement. So there is a concern that if he has other ingress and egress, that may need to be, settled in the future. There need to be more restrictions to that easement and, just the general overall property value and tax value for that property. So I would, ask that the recommendation be that this be put on hold until the projects move forward and, more communication with the other residents that are in that county. And I would like to ask, as this moves through the council process and the approval process, will there be further notices sent out to the adjoining parcel owners? That would be a question that I would have. There, okay, perfect. Well, that's really all I have to say, and is there any questions that may be asked of me that I would need to answer while I'm here?
I have a question.
Okay.
Can you show me which parcel, which property
Right.
you're describing as family owned?
Let's see, okay, so you come down Wesley Chapel. Okay, so, go northwest, that little square right there, that is the family-owned parcel. Yes. That's the piece that is the road frontage on Orr, but where Evoke is coming, that red square there, where Evoke is coming, and it looks on the map that I'm seeing here as though Azar has acquired that property as well. And, well, I'm really hoping that they're not planning to use that easement for traffic in and out of the apartment complex. So there's probably an alternate road access to that somewhere, I would imagine. Rosetta Drive looks to be possibly it. Any other questions?
Yeah, as I remember the apartment development, that was, the road is on the left-hand side there.
Right, they have their own road, and
Down
then they'll
to
be
Wesley
accessing
Chapel.
off Bethel Lane too, so.
Okay, so it does appear that property provides ingress and egress to that little slice there in the middle that is the topic of the rezoning for tonight.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Brian? Or Vic? Toss a coin.
I'll be last.
Okay.
Hey, good evening. My name is Brian Helms, lifelong resident of Union County. Thanks for allowing me to speak. I'm a former resident of one of the Orr Road properties as identified by my wife up there at the smaller property there at the road frontage. You see, I spent my formative years there, and over time that property has been owned by 3 generations of my family. Piece by piece, it was sold away. Now, all that remains is that one parcel that is currently owned by my father. This is property that my great-grandfather built a house on, and where I spent my time with my great-grandmother in her kitchen. The adjoining property, now owned by Mr. Azar, included that easement that my wife just spoke about, specifically for ingress and egress for my aunt who previously owned a landlocked parcel. That easement is 60 feet, and it adjoins the last 2.5 acres on that street that my family owns. My grandfather created that easement for light residential traffic only. As a child, I helped rake gravel to make it. In the sale of that property, the easement followed. Since then, I've watched how this easement has been abused and has been utilized as a graveyard for storage containers. Despite numerous attempts to have these removed from my family's property, Mr. Azar continues to impede this easement and abuse the adjoining property that my family owns. I stand before you guys really with more questions than I have answers. Questions I have are, if these properties are rezoned for light industrial, what's the plan moving forward? What's to be built there? The site plan that I've seen suggests that this will be a part of that apartment community or potentially high-density development. That was prior to hearing Mr. Azar's remarks. But furthermore, what's the impact on schools and specifically roads there? You've got that railroad track right there at Orr Road. What about water? What about sewer? Depending on future use, there's infrastructure concerns that the town of Indian Trail is going to have to address. What's the impact of the surrounding property, including the parcel that's owned by my family? I would just say this, that it's been our experience that Mr. Azar has proven himself to be irresponsible at best, and I have trouble trusting Mr. Azar with rezoning this property to light industrial. I would urge you guys to consider the future use of this property and the consequences of the infrastructure or on the infrastructure that it may have. And I would ask that you don't rezone specifically the Orr Road property owned by my family. Thank you. I guess it's my turn.
I guess it is.
And that's a hard act to follow. My name is Vic Helms. I am the owner of that property up there. Not only am I the owner, but they all belong to me right there. I'm very proud of every one of them. Now,
having said all that, I'm here tonight to voice my concerns about everything about this rezoning and whatnot. And I'm going to say, first of all, that I'm very illiterate about all the realty and all this stuff here that goes with it. But my concerns are not only what was addressed right there, but the infrastructure right there. I don't know what's going to be built there, okay? Being honest, I really don't know. I don't know what kind of problems we're going to have with road access, with sewer, with water, with, roads, with schools and everything else that goes with it. I don't know. I do know that that is a very high traffic area over there. And when I grew up there, that is my home place. When I grew up there, it was not like that. It was a far different world right there. It really was. But it is not that way today. And that's progress. Okay? So having said all that right there, that is a hard act to follow with my two here. And they brought out some real good points. And I asked them to please come out here and speak. And I go along with what they said. Ultimately, it starts and stops with me. And having said all that right there, I am asking you guys to deny the request for rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any board members who want to make comments or ask questions or?
I do. So I don't know if you use the pointer. Underneath, yeah, right there. That purple piece. What's currently there?
It's vacant.
It's vacant,
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's about 7.5 acres.
but it's currently zoned
Light industrial.
light industrial.
Yes, sir. Yeah, all the light purple is light industrial.
Same as above, is vacant too, but it's
Up
zoned
here,
light.
there's an existing single-family house, and then here is a warehouse building.
Okay. And then all the maroon is currently going to be apartments, right?
Right, this is the Evoke apartment complex project. And then that's existing Bonanza Park subdivision.
And then the piece that the Hems own currently is that right there.
Right, and that's
With-
SF1.
Right, so sound like they have no plans on making that. They want to keep that residential, it looks like.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, that answers. Okay,
That is a narrow road right there with Old Road. It's been that way. I know it's a state-owned road, but it is a very narrow road also. You can put two cars, coming and going right there together, but no more.
I have a written comment that was submitted. I can go and read that real quick. It's from John Richards at 5424 Bethel Lane. He's at the parcel here. There is a single-family dwelling on the parcel, and then there's about 10 or so feet that adjoin the parcel in question. Video Stop Distributing is the owner of parcel 07069161, which is next to my property, and he's speaking of that parcel right there next door. And is now seeking approval to rezone other surrounding property next to my property and where most of the surrounding property is residential use, which includes the Evoke residential complex. Video Stop Distributing also owns other parcels nearby. I have concerns with this approval if there are no plans on the table for discussion and approval at this time, since it could impact my property value in the near future. Since the applicant owns property on at least 3 sides of the Evoke project, as well as the lot next to my property, I think it is imperative that their intentions and plans are fully spelled out prior to moving forward. Otherwise, this appears to be a monopoly on the land that could impact my property value in the longer run. And he was speaking of these parcels here, and then this parcel here and there.
So all of that purple, the big purple section, that's all already zoned light industrial?
Exactly. Yeah, and across the railroad tracks here, yeah, everything light purple is already light industrial. That there is neighborhood business district, a little bit of commercial.
another development that's going in on the other side of the railroad?
Yes, Madam Chair, that's Sun Valley Marketplace, which is townhomes, hotel, also apartments and senior
So that would go in
apartments.
the purple area?
Yes, to the north. It wouldn't have any access because it's across the railroad tracks to.
No, I understand that. I'm just trying to get an overall picture of,
So I have a question. Who has responsibility for Orr Road? Is that NCDOT?
NCDOT.
So if I haven't been down that road, but I see traffic that comes out of there onto Wesley Chapel again, because there's no light there, it's always a challenge, and the railroad tracks are right there. So if that is already zoned, a lot of that light industrial, and as I heard from the family in the back, if that road right now, Orr Road, is not necessarily very wide, and all that could be potentially most of that light industrial in the future with heavy trucks, how would that handle that kind of activity of big trucks and other traffic that would be coming on Orr Road and then coming on to Wesley Chapel? So I know we can't probably answer that question, but it's a question to put out there. And you know, I normally ask questions around traffic involvement because it's always a problem in Indian Trail.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Dukes. If any of those parcels, which looks like, a lot of them haven't been converted to an industrial use, they would have to meet the requirements the NCDOT and our traffic engineer would lay out, which, could be widening the road, adding the sidewalk, curb, and gutter. That's always a requirement of any development. And that's going to be required of Mr. Azar. He has to do everything by the books and by NCDOT if he is accessing from Orr Road. I believe he's going to be accessing from Evoke from the south side. But that's what I know.
Another question, the other areas there that are light industrial that you identified, the purple areas there, is there any buildings, any active businesses there today?
There are a couple.
Yeah, there's some right in there.
I think very few though.
Yeah, there's a few there. Union, I believe it's Union County Public Works is right there, but that's an MBD parcel. Really probably should be light industrial, but.
I remember driving down Orr Road to see what was going on for some one of these developments that we were talking about, and it's it's a lane and a half. It's not really a two-lane road. I can't see that it would be a suitable access, even for electricians with vans and so forth.
And with the placement of the railroad track right there against Orr Road, the only place for expansion would be onto the properties that are on the other side. So that would be a further loss of real estate for those parcels that are on Orr Road, because it can't obviously go onto the railroad track.
May I speak right there? As far as trucking goes, I'm an operator, I own a trucking business, okay? And having said all that right there, I'd hate to think that I was gonna bring a big truck up and down up and down Old Road all the time. You'd never get out to start with. I'm just being as honest as I can be. As a driver, you'll never get out of there. And if you get down in there, where are you gonna turn around? Where are you gonna move? What you gonna do? This goes on. So, the bus has, when the bus was going down there, it was backing up on my property, tearing down the fence. So there you go, whatever.
So I have another question about the property that we're talking about. So how's their access out to Orr Road? I don't see how that works. If you can go back to the other diagram. Is there a road there today for that parcel?
No.
Or an access point to the Orr Road?
Just trees.
The other one, the colored one, I think is easier to see, isn't it, or not?
We can kind of see the road here.
That's Orr Road, right?
Goes back. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yeah, and the easement, to my knowledge, comes down here.
And that exists today?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
May I answer some of your concerns, Chief?
I don't know. Madam Chairman, it's up to you on questions here. Questions that he's asking. Can he ask questions?
No, 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 if I can answer some of your
Yeah,
concerns.
yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Can I ask you to come up to the
Yeah,
Just
so
come
she
to the
can hear
microphone
you.
so that we can all hear.
I'm just trying to respond to
Yeah.
some of your concerns. You have some concerns and they have some concerns, if I can address those.
Sure.
First is, there's an existing easement that I purchased when I purchased it from his brother. I purchased it because it's for sale. Any of the properties I purchased in Union County, Mecklenburg County, and other counties. This is my business. I'm a licensed general contractor, and I do that type of work. This is what I do for a living. So whoever wants to sell me, I'll buy it if it's reasonable. I never pressured the family, his brother, or anyone to sell. It was for sale, and I purchased it. That's no hardship on him or anybody else. Again, when I purchased it, it had an easement. I used that easement for houses that is existing on Old Road. Old Road end is a dead end, and there's an existing 60-foot easement, like he mentioned, Mr. Helms. Fact is, that's been used since I purchased it because there are two houses down the street, and in order to get in and out, that is my access. So even if I rezone that access until Evoke start building, that would be usable. But once I get it rezoned and approved, let's say it's approved, then I cannot go any further than the 4 acres because I have to pay. This is a public road. Evoke is going to construct a public road. And in order to extend the public road, somebody have to pay.
Right.
And if I want to extend it to my 4 acres, even if it's not zoned for that, I still can build my 16 acres. That's by law. I'm given that by right. It's been there since '84. So I can do my business on the almost 17 acres back in that pink one. So again, those concern is for the easement. The easement exists. And since it exists, I have to use it because there's residents there. I don't know what the concern is about. It's already existing. For the 4 acres, if I did rezone it, I'm going to extend the road up to probably 2/3 of the 4 acres, and that's the end of that, because I'm not going to extend it to All Road. I have no interest in use for All Road. I have tried to do the same back when back maybe 15 years ago, and I was told it's just not feasible. It's not conducive to attached to our road because it is a dead end. I tried to even have DOT I can pave it on my own and do all that. They said, no, you have to go through, back in the 50s, the railroad have control. Railroad gave that authority to DOT. From there on, DOT, either funding is, they have to purchase easements, they have to do considerable amount for the value, and I did not approach rezoning. I paid for rezoning, and they told me, no, you cannot do it because the road is not conducive for light industrial, so I backed off. The only reason I'm going for that site is because it is now available and it's conducive, and that's the reason I sold that acreage at a reasonable price, so I can go ahead and use that road for my benefit. Otherwise, why would I sell it for no benefit? Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So the main road that any of the tenants in that area would be using would be the road that will circumvent Evoke Apartments, not Orr Road?
That is correct. Orr Road will not be used anymore, period. It's a dead end for me, because once that is zoned, there is no need for me to use that easement that they have concern about. It's not going to happen, because I'm not going to extend that road all the way to the Orr Road. Why would I? There is no benefit for me to extend it. There is no benefit, not only benefit was financial or use. Because what's the use? Where am I going to go with Orr Road? Just dead end? It's just not going to benefit me.
Okay,
So, as I tried that actually in the past. This is not my first time coming here to Indian Trail Planning, and they said no. it's not the best. Wait until you have another avenue to do it. And that's why I'm here today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Azar. Sure.
So, he did ask, he doesn't understand what the family's concern would be. Something that we forgot to mention, my father-in-law briefly touched on her, I think maybe my husband did, I don't know. But in the past, there has been documented issues, letters that the family has received from the town of Indian Trail in regards to like old utility trailers parked on that easement that have, they're rotted, they're rusted, they cannot possibly be moved. That burden has been put on our family to try to alleviate some of that. There's been a tremendous amount of pollution dumping, and while it is circumstantial evidence and was told by the sheriff's office is not a chargeable offense, going through some of the trash bags, doing some researches in the real estate database to some of the pieces of mail that was found in that garbage. They were linked back to some real estate rental companies in Charlotte. You can connect the dots. There are dots that connect, but being circumstantial evidence, we were told by the sheriff's office there's no chargeable offenses there, but, and that's just with the property being zoned the way that it is, just the continual pollution and just not knowing what the exact plans are and knowing the history of, some of the concerns that have already been had in regards to the easement. It does put me at ease a little to know that he is not planning to use this access to Orr Road because, some of you have been on Orr Road and he knows Orr Road very well. It's not very feasible. So hopefully the apartments can, get their road access going and that'll, alleviate some of that concern. But until now, it's my understanding it's probably going to be a minimum of 5 years before they even break ground on the apartments. So possibly a shorter term, I'm not sure. But what would be the point in that being zoned industrial and just sitting there for 5 years if it's not going to be immediately used and cause immediate traffic and potential extra pollution along the edge of our family's property? So, thank you.
Sorry. Just real quick, I don't want to reiterate everything that she said, but what I will say is that, listen, I've picked up the trash in that lot. So I've spent the time out there and I've picked up the trash and all the garbage and all the dumping that has, been derived from the surrounding properties. That's been a burden and a hardship on our family, and unrightfully so, whether it was Mr. Azar, whether it was his rentals, whoever it may have been, okay? You zone this stuff for light industrial, there's no telling what we're going to contend with. Furthermore, if I understood this thing correctly, he's not planning on using Orr Road, so he's going to bring in light industrial traffic through the apartment complex or the access road from that?
It's around on the border of the apartments.
Would that not cause additional issues with traffic from the residential area, from the apartment complex? I'm just raising the question because I don't know. And I think it's something that you all should consider before you make this decision. Thank you.
Would the access be Bethel Lane?
I don't know. It's going to be a new street that's going to go around the border of Evoque. So it's a new road that will be built at the same time that the apartment complex is. Okay, any other questions? Okay, are we ready to vote?
When you do vote, can you just make yours last?
I can't hear you, Lori. Sorry.
When you do vote, would you mind just, I guess as the chair, you're supposed to do it last.
Oh, yes, no, I know that.
Okay, thank you.
I'm asking someone to make a motion.
Of course. Okay, thank you.
Anybody ready to make a motion?
Do you have what you typically put up?
So you would either
Yeah,
make a
either.
move, right?
I think, based on what I've heard, I would make a motion at this point to denial of the ZM 2021 5162 petition based on, well, I guess I don't need to specify what
You
I'm
don't have to
based on.
explain yourself.
Right. So that's my motion.
Okay, so that's the motion on the table, to deny the petition.
I would second that motion.
Okay. So, do you want to, Larry, do you want to start, and we'll just take the
Sure.
vote all the way down?
So we have to think about how this is set up. So this is a motion for denial. So a vote of yes is in favor of that. A vote of nay would be against that, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So I vote yes for denial.
Yes. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And yes for denial.
So the motion to recommend denial of CM 2021-0162 petition is confirmed by the board. Now, again, remember that this is going to come up before the council meeting, and they're the ones that actually make the decision.
And that's on
So you all are going to have to show up again.
and that's on January 11th. But you'll get a notice in the mail on,
Yeah, the notices will be mailed 10 days before that meeting, so you will get that. You're welcome.
Okay, is there any other business that's coming before the board tonight? Does not appear to be. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion to end our meeting tonight?
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed?